watch it?
Yeah.
Have you watched all? Did you watch all 7 seasons before the premiere?
I've seen everything.
You've seen it all before, but I'm saying, did you
Yeah.
go back and rewatch all
No,
7 seasons?
I mean, it's somewhat of a preview, like at the beginning. I mean,
Yeah.
you kind of know who everybody is by now.
I know, but it's been 2
Like-
years since it came on.
That's true.
The only reason why I did is because I got sick and I could. I know it, and I don't think there's any other way that you could actually go back and watch 63 1-hour episodes. But welcome, everybody. Let's talk some Nats. You ready, Kev?
Yeah, I'm trying to do the checker
Oh,
out.
you're into the
Yeah,
checker outer.
got it.
That, by the way, is the most searched job skill on Monster.com.
Checker outer.
For the fat-fingered individual. Yes, it is. And I'm eligible. And these
It's pretty little
Check a lot of
digits.
boxes. All right, here we go. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Tuesday night. Deep inside the heart of Kensington, Maryland. Basement Podcast Studios of First Amendment Sports. I'm Ken Marangolo. He's Kevin Ricca.
I'm excited to be down here on Tuesday night with JoJo Sweets with the arm folded over there. Look at him smiling. There we go.
Are you coaching a softball game or something? I mean, you look
Third
like you're like a
base.
third base coach,
You're
right? You're
watching
third
the
base
Nats game.
coach right now. You're third base coaching us.
It's comfortable.
Just send us, no matter what. Always send. Joe Murphy, everybody, class Pride of St. John's, I should say. Pride of St. John's
Class of
College, High
95.
School, class of 95. Friend of the basement. Friend of many a basement.
Friend of the Nationals.
That is-
Friend of the
true.
Nationals, obviously.
Right.
He's wearing the right color tonight. This is the Nat Shift. We are proud to report our first winning week. I believe our official record is 1-1-1 in our 3 weeks
This is true.
on the air so far.
Put a curly W on this week. First one of the season, 3-2. And Ken, it couldn't have started off sweeter than how we left this podcast 1 week ago tonight. We were clamoring for the Nats to show some ball, some heart, some toughness, some grit. And since we've spoken to everyone last, that's exactly what the hell they did last Tuesday. You know, that was just, oh, God, was that sweet to watch.
Down 6-1. The outfield that we, I wouldn't say abandoned Bryce Harper for, but the outfield that made getting rid of Bryce Harper or saying goodbye
Made breaking
easier.
up a little easier.
Made breaking up a little easier. Victor Robles, homer in the 9th. Juan Soto, homer in the 10th. That's your game. They played some kind of cabbage thing in the locker room where they passed the cabbage and raced some cabbage. And
Yeah, I'm gonna let them have their cabbage. I don't want anything to do with that.
I don't
cabbage.
understand it, but I like I do understand chocolate syrup. So that makes sense to me. Pouring chocolate syrup over somebody, and in a moment like that, to me, that I don't know how else you would do it.
Listen,
Tastes better than cabbage.
Yeah.
and that makes you a tad bit odd, but you know what? I knew that well before I walked down here, as did you. But I want nothing to do with any chocolate syrup on my person, and I like cabbage, corned beef and cabbage on a March 16th, getting ready for the big day, fills up the house with a special scent. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
Regardless,
That is
regardless,
true.
we did break up a tad bit with Bryce Harper. We're not breaking up with Anthony
No.
Rendon. And when you turn around and see those sweet, fine, young-looking things out there, it definitely it heals the pain. And when, for the first time in baseball history, after the 8th inning, a 21-year-old and a 20-year-old homered for the same team in a victory.
Yep.
Well, that stat belongs to us and us only. And Robles and Soto, that was sickness. 2 strikes, down to the final strike for Robles. He doesn't want to lose to Bryce. He knows what's up.
He absolutely knows what's up, and he endeared himself immediately to the hometown faithful. Everyone knows who he is and the prospect that he's been for quite some time. But delivering is a whole different ball game. Let's talk about the week that was. We were 3-2, and really you could argue that it swung on that game that we led the week off with. Mm-hmm. We ended up getting that series win against the Phillies, which was huge.
That was huge. Ace, I think we went 24 unanswered runs on the Philadelphia Phillies, which felt tremendous. looking in the opposite dugout up 15-0. You're just thinking, you know what? We got you. We got you this one. You know, there's going to be plenty more to have at it. But, you know, we sat here on this show, and we did at the end of it. We were getting a little pissed off about the fact that we were going to lay down and lose to these turds, knowing what was on the line early in the season. Whether it's reputation or not, this is a divisional game. There's only 19 of them. And we said we need some guys, some dogs. And we talked about who it might be, Ken. And we know what Rendon's been doing. You know, we'll leave him till later. You instantly talked about Eaton as being one of the dogs. I agreed. And this week, he decides to go 9 for 23, 7 runs, 3 RBIs. He's hitting the cover off the ball on his home run the other night, the game tire, seconds after the Caps' big W.
That's right.
He puts one in the right field seats that might have been the hardest hit ball I've ever seen him hit.
It was, I mean, he got a hold of it. He knew what he was doing, and he knew what the moment needed, and he went out and got it. I mean, I do think he's the kind of player that if he's healthy, and we talk about this all the time in professional sports, probably all the way down to high school sports, the guy who makes the plays has the most power in the locker room. And that could be for better or for worse, depending on who that guy is and what the team's willing to take. But for the Washington Nats, we suffered when Adam Eaton wasn't available for the playoffs 2 years ago. That was the difference in the series. I mean, that was the difference in our series loss. Was Adam Eaton not being there.
And the difference in Adam Eaton from last year to this year is so evident. Watching him run around the bases, there is no hitch in his giddy-up. There's no more limp. There's no more struggle. He's not playing through pain. He's out there playing free and clear. It's affected his arm strength. It's affected his power. It's affected him at the plate, and especially, obviously, running the bases. He looks like a different guy out there, and I love watching him. He definitely showed some dog, which is what we asked for this week. And there's a couple other guys, namely one that showed some ferocity. Howie Kendrick. Talk about that guy coming off an injury. A little bad hammy, coming off a torn Achilles. He's 40,000 years old. He hits 293 for 20 years in Major League Baseball, it feels like. He just jumped right back in like it was yesterday, man.
533.
Dude.
On the season.
7 for 11 on the week.
Yep.
And with 5 runs and 4 RBIs, more walks than strikeouts. Ken, 2 home runs and 3 doubles out of those 7 hits. That's 5 extra base hits. He was knocking the crap out of the ball, including a home run to back up Eaton's game winner the other night. 3 minutes of DC sports. We had a Caps playoff W, and Eaton tie up the ball game, and Howie Kendrick finish it. Pretty sweet. I think it was 6-14, 15, and 16. Hey, bottle that next year. We got to remember the date and timestamp something. Something's good's going to happen in that 3 minutes.
We can talk. I mean, I think Howie Kendrick is an amazing story, and figuring out how to play him and when to get him in. You know how to work him and Dozier. They got to get Dozier going. He's going to be a guy for us this year.
He has to.
But you just can't get away from Howie Kendrick. So you know, if it's 4 innings here, 5 innings there, if you're platooning for a game, I'm all on board. You got to get this guy at bats and keep him comfortable because. I mean, again, the Nationals need Howie Kendrick.
He's a high-grade, right-handed professional hitter, and it's unbelievable that we could have a guy like that on the bench. But you know what? He's come in with a pinch hit home run already this year, which is a huge deal for us. So, you know, he's just such a pro. We're so lucky to have him. I really, honestly felt the worst when he tore that Achilles last year. I thought it was it. Thought there was no more Howie for us.
Yeah, because he's not a spring chicken.
No, and you know what? That's a terrible injury. You know, John Wall might not play basketball for us next year after doing it midway through this year. So you got like Howie Kendrick to come out and to explode on the scene the way he did. And there's one more guy that I think we got to mention. We're mentioning dogs. And, you know, he's kind of that quiet dog that sits in the back. But
you're talking about Rendon?
Well, we know Rendon. We said Rendon, Eaton, and Kendrick.
Okay.
And, you know, Robles is dogging out a little bit. Sean Doolittle just keeps getting it done. Keeps getting it done, man. I believe he has a 0.0 ERA still at this point in the season. He keeps coming in crunch time situations.
Yeah, he leads the team in wins.
He has 3 wins.
3 wins, yeah.
And saves.
And he got his first save the other night, and we could not use him, and it really killed us. You know, not that Suero did bad, and he's been great all week, but he couldn't finish that game off in Pittsburgh to end the series on Scherzer's start night because Doolittle was unavailable. You know, that hurts us, and I know that leads to the conversation about Kimbrel. And, yes, I do think we should get Kimbrel. We don't need to talk about it, but apparently he's lowered his asking price, and I think that just gives this team a ton of confidence if we go out there and make a pickup like that. I'm dying to get someone in there.
So let's talk. Let's divert ourselves from the stats because, you know, offensively, it's the second straight week where Anthony Rendon's face is all the way across every single offensive stat as a team leader. And I don't think that's boring at all. I think that's amazing. First of all, the picture he has on ESPN, probably a lot of sites, is still with the Jerry curl, amazing goodness of a hairdo, which I think is and that should be that should be something that is locked in for life. Anytime he's listed on a major outlet,
Randy Johnson.
How bad?
it should be that haircut.
How bad do you want to touch it?
I don't know. It's almost like like no one should be allowed to touch it. It's like a freaking national treasure, like white gloves, like maybe with some white gloves, maybe white glove it.
That was not where I was heading with
Okay,
this.
all right, fair enough.
But it was a fair answer.
Thanks.
You don't ask questions you don't want to hear the answer
I'm
to.
just saying.
No,
Let's talk about Kimbrel, because he has lowered his price. He is baseball is weird. We talk about every sport in the basement every single week, all the pro sports, and all the way down to high school. But the professional Major Four, football is free agency in March, draft in April. There's some late veteran sightings here in camp, but there's not guys who can play, who can help a team, generally still around a few weeks into the season, just floating
out there. And
yeah, and I understand he's got a payday coming. This is probably his last big check, and in baseball it's guaranteed. So whatever contract he signs, that's the number. That's it for him. So I get it, but for whatever reason, he hasn't taken offers that have been made to him in other places. I guess I want to talk about whether or not the Nats feel like they need him. Putting aside for a second what we want, because I want him. I don't think I love Trevor Rosenthal. We talked about that 15-0 game where he came in, he walked a couple guys, he gave up a run. I actually think he put it together on that night, and I'm a little upset that Davey hasn't put him out there more, because. For Nats fans, just remember the guy walks people. I mean, he's always walked people, but people don't hit him. So and he hasn't been. It's not like he's hitting a bunch of batters and a lot of pass balls like was the case out of the chute.
I know. I'm with you.
I think he's just about there for what he is.
I hear that, but you know what? Let's measure twice and get it right. Let's not have this be an on-again, off-again thing. Let's let him work out whatever it is and then get into a groove. I don't mind taking our time with this. I don't want to rush him in. One more blow up and then we're right back to square one. He needs to have a couple more. I like that Davey's looking for these situations. I hate reading about it in the paper. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I don't like the lack of confidence. But we know what he's coming back off of. Tommy John surgery is no joke, and he's throwing 100 miles an hour. That strength is there. That ball's there. He's got to work his way into this. Hey, I don't know how it feels to throw a ball 100 miles an hour. We can only dream of things like this. But
I told you about it.
Right. But to put this in perspective, I don't mind Davey taking his time to fix this thing properly once and then move forward. We're 500. Nothing's getting away from us. But people who keep on calling for his head, Rosenthal's I'm talking about, and let's just cut Rosenthal, move forward, have no idea what you're talking about.
No, they don't.
You got to sit down and like we say, embrace the 162.
Yep.
Because Trevor Rosenthal's making $7 million a year. He's got a lot of upticks in his contract that could send it to a possible another $8 million with a mutual option next year. This is not the guy you just send off to people.
You're not cutting this
We
guy.
need him for this bullpen to be successful. We need him way more than we need to sign Craig Kimbrel. We need Trevor Rosenthal to be Trevor Rosenthal.
Because we have an eighth
inning guy. Justin Miller's been super comfortable when he's not been injured in the seventh inning role. Yeah. And he was fantastic before he banged his back up a little bit, and he got out, and it's just our story.
You know how I feel about Wander.
I love the guy. And you know what? He wasn't ready for the close the other night. He wasn't ready to finish, but he's right there on the cusp. That cutter is nasty. He's filthy. He's going to be a stud. He's a big, intimidating cat, and I like his game.
Glad to have Bearclaw on my side. He's imposing, super low ERA.
Bearclaw's having a heck of a year, I think. He started off a little rocky, but so did the whole bullpen. I mean, you look at this stat. We are leading the majors in average innings per start out of our starting five.
Yep.
And we are also leading the majors in bullpen ERA.
Yeah,
it does not take any WCAC mathematicians or math teachers that might have seen us at one time to tell me I'm wrong about that, because I'm not. We know exactly what the issue is. We got to get it straightened out. But let's do it right, correctly, and once.
I found my Oliver Perez of the staff, the guy who I'll spend the rest of the season yelling at the TV and angrily shaking my fist when he comes in, Not because he's a better pitcher than me, Joe. This guy, Tony Sipp.
Yeah.
Tony Sipp he's got my goat. There's always a reliever, or there tends to always be a reliever that I just can't handle, like psychologically. When he comes in, I just can't do it. And he's turning into that guy for me. He does have 4 holds. His ERA.
He got a hold the other night for giving up 2 hits and 2 runs. They're like,
I don't
give him
understand
the hold. I don't know what the shit a hold is ever, because if you
makes
come
me
in there and
upset.
crap your pants, you shouldn't get a hold. You got to hold that from coming out into your pants. That's what you get a hold for.
Hold. He's not holding anything in that regard.
I have like a 983 hold percentage at my house. So.
Pretty good, actually.
I thought that was.
That's Braden Holtby-esque.
Yeah.
There were some tight
Actually,
curveballs.
if you crunch the numbers, it's a lot of bad hold days. So.
But it's the ones that squeak through that do the most damage.
That's true.
As we do know.
That's true.
So Tony Sipp is on my shit list. No pun intended. Kev, don't mean to bring up bad memories.
Hold, Ricka. Thank you.
and Kyle Barraclough, who I'll tell you what he's doing right out of the gate. He's filling up the back of that jersey with some letters.
Yes.
I mean, it's like a rainbow of letters. I love it.
That's one of the best baseball names.
Of course it is.
Barraclough.
It's also one of the best bakery names. I just want to.
It makes me think of that, right?
A Barraclough every time. It gets wedged in right here.
And he pitched well against the Nationals last season.
Yeah.
And I noticed right away, I said, man, wouldn't it be great if we had a pitcher that had that many letters on the back of his jersey? And now we do.
Hey, I'll take that many years of control as well. And
that's true.
It's a good deal for us. I thought that was one of the better things we did this offseason. And he's been just fine. I hear your Tony Sippness. I'm with you. He's a veteran. He needs to get guys out. And he came in here, not boasting, but, he was very confident. And, he hasn't even had to deal with he just hasn't been getting the regular guys out, much less the reason why we brought in a veteran lefty to get out Robinson Cano, Michael Conforto, Freddie Freeman, and old Bryce.
Yep.
That's what he's here for. It's one of the reasons. You can't just throw Grayson Doolittle at those guys every single time. We need outs.
I keep seeing Matt Grace come in. Didn't we follow him through the minors last year?
No, he had the most appearances for the
2 years
bullpen
ago.
last year. 2 years ago, we were on Grace. He's a big Davey Martinez guy. Davey Martinez is a big Grace guy, and you know what? He's been disappointing this season as well. I think it's contagious with our bullpen. The past few years we've had this conversation year in, year out. We fixed it with the law offices 2 years ago. We thought we were right and ready. And we were, but we weren't ready for the postseason. And then last year, that just seemed to come apart at the seams. And it seems to be another issue we're talking about again. Can Rizzo rebuild the bullpen?
It's all about. That's exactly what it's Rizzo.
Yeah.
Can he do it? Because now we know there's going to be a move made. I mean, the Nationals are going to be making a move. Whether it's signing Craig Kimbrel at some point, someone's going to do that. And on top of that, finding a deal to be made. The Nats are going to be, as they have been when they've put together rosters like this, they're going to be buyers. They're going to be players. There's going to be a couple guys in our bullpen who aren't on our team in September or October. It's probably not good to speculate which one it is because who knows what's going to happen injury-wise. But at the end of the day, I think Davey Martinez said it himself. These guys got to pitch. I mean, they have to get it done. It's what someone has to step up besides Doolittle on a regular basis and get this team to the finish line. And stop, hanging 3 losses on Max Scherzer right out of the gate.
It's the world we live in. This Twitterverse, this now instant gratification. It's what I love about baseball. There isn't any. You're not getting it. You got to wait this bad boy out. Sit back, see what happens, and it's tormenting to watch it go south. It is. I hate it as well. But with Rosenthal, with Sipp, and with Barraclough at the beginning of the season, and now Matt Grace. We got to hang in there. These guys aren't going anywhere. You can't just throw everyone out and get a whole new bunch. It's not a game of cards. So, but when you asked about Kimbrel and whether or not the Nats want him,
do they think they need him?
I think that Mike Rizzo believes such, but the Lerner family is a whole different ballgame, and that's a tough nut to crack. Trying to get a couple bucks out of that pocket. Not that they haven't spent, and they have. I'm not saying they're cheap, but I'm going to say you don't get to that point in business by just throwing money at an issue. And I think they are super careful. And I think this is going to be reviewed, and it's going to be an issue coming to the All-Star break. We've gotten into that to the trade deadline. We've had that in the past. We've been very thrifty shoppers, and Rizzo's gone out there and found gems. I forget the guy's name last year that hurt himself for us. He was a great pickup from KC from the Royals. He was their closer, and he had got to cut a cleat and tore up his knee and never was. But it was a huge pickup. It was a veteran guy. No one could believe we got him. It was 2 weeks before the deadline, so it wasn't some crunch time move. It was well thought out. I think that'll be on the type of leash Rizzo is on, and I don't think that the learners are convinced that we need Craig Kimbrel.
I want to say from a standpoint of, I think someone thinks that we need him. The money thing, I think people just assume that the Nats are up against the tax line, but I don't think that they are. I think I'm looking at these numbers. It says I think
$4 million away.
About $4 million,
Yeah.
but
Kimbrel certainly slam dunks us to the tax.
our total
luxury
payroll in 2019, our total salary is 199, but our total adjusted salary is 162. I think we have more than 4 before the line. Is it 4? Are you sure?
I have read in multiple places before the start of the season that we were right around the 4 and some change area, and that Craig Kimbrel would flush that down the toilet and right into luxury taxville. Which, you know what? Come on, man. Let's go get some curly W's and stop worrying about a couple bucks here and there. But I get it.
That to me, so that to me could possibly be the impact of the Caps winning a championship on the learners. The learners just saw what happened in Washington. Not that the Caps went out and got some crazy deadline deal guy. They didn't. The core of that team is the core of that team. But I think they saw just a teeny tiny bit of what it looks like when a team does what the Caps did, and wins hardware. And I think the Nats are a contender. Last year we got a little overzealous, but I think we can call it like it is. And the Nats are a contender. They have every bit the right to call themselves a Super Bowl, a World Series contender. And I think that the team front office should look at that in that light, because I think that, tripping over that luxury tax line to add a guy like Kimbrel, to me, the value you get for those extra dollars, especially if you win a playoff series.
The two-headed closer, righty-lefty, to put confidence in. Next thing you know, you keep your 8th and 7th inning guy. You use these guys whenever you can. Doolittle's the first guy that marched up to Skip and said, put his locker next to mine. I can't wait to have him down here at spring training. I don't know. I don't know that it's going to happen. I don't know that it's not going to happen. But my bet would be that it does not happen for us.
I think it's the safe bet, because, and if
would have done it already, you would think.
Well,
what would they wait for now?
He wants the length of contract, right? I mean, he wants, because it's guaranteed. So whatever he can get lengthwise, he wants to sign up for.
You always got to get what you can get lengthwise. You take every single inch. They give you an inch, you take it. You take a half a yard.
That's right.
Whatever you want to call it.
I completely agree with you on that one, Kevin Ricka. Wow. He wants the length, and to me, that's where he's coming down on. At some point in time, he'll take. Or some team will give it, or some team will give in, give him the length, but they'll take the average annual down, and he'll accept that. And I think the Nationals.
Someone else is going to sneak in here and offer him girth, is what you're saying?
Well,
and then we're going to lose
a little bit of girth. Yes,
we'll give him a deferred contract.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll pay you till you're 95 years old if you'll take that.
Yeah, you better have a great personality as well.
$1 a day for the next 100 years. Take it or leave it. One last thing on the stats. I think we have 3 pitchers averaging roughly 11 strikeouts per 9 innings.
3 starters, but we also have a couple relievers, Ken, in that business of getting. Doolittle is definitely one of them. I think it's 5 total, but yeah, 3 starters. Corbin, Strauss, and Max. Yeah, we got to get Max off the 1 and 2. It does not look right. It does not look right next to his name, but we all know what's up there. Max is going to do Max, and next thing you know, you look up and he's 14-3, and you're like, holy shit.
I hope that's the case.
After the holy shit, I was finished with that.
But I also, everyone is complaining, but I'm thinking Jacob deGrom essentially stole the Cy Young away from Max for hard luck. Hard luck got him the Cy Young last year, in my opinion. I thought deGrom had a great year, and I wouldn't take anything away from his ERA and what he did for the season. I don't think he was better. I don't think he deserved it over Max Scherzer, and I think he won it because people were like, damn, look how good he is, and look how terrible the Mets are. So Max is getting a little bit of that on the front side. I hope they remember that come voting time when he is 14-3 or 15-5, and people say, well, remember, he could have easily had 18, 19, maybe 20 wins if he wasn't hamstrung by a terrible opening, season bullpen.
And it has occurred. Versus righties, he has over 600 and he has 660 strikeouts versus righties and 60 walks versus righties. So if you're a right-handed hitter against Max Scherzer, and you're just every man's right-handed hitter, you've struck out 660 times and walked 60. Good luck facing that guy. Just I wish you the best.
Stand there. Just stand there.
Smile.
Yeah.
Hope it hits you by accident.
Right.
Lean in like the Pittsburgh guy did for the perfect game. Like, that's your best bet, man.
1-1. Giants just tied up Strauss with a long dong. Top of the fifth, 67 pitches in. Strasburg is I wouldn't say he's scuffling. It's a 1-1 game.
No,
he's doing just fine.
good.
Yeah, he's having a great game. Strasburg goes tonight for the rest of the game, obviously. Hellickson and Corbin will finish out the
My man
homestand.
Hellickson, the only man on the staff that got a win this week.
The only starter.
The only starter
Yes.
on the staff that got a win this week.
That's correct.
Have some faith in Hellickson, man.
I am. I
He's
am.
a scuffler. He's a tough guy. He hangs in there. He eats innings. At least he eats lineups. At least
I like
the first
what he's
two
doing
go
for
around.
us.
Yeah.
I think they're dying to see if Joe Ross can become number 5, and I'm glad they're not pushing it. I'm glad they're not forcing it.
No.
But I know something inside someone at Nats Park is saying, "Man, Joe Ross has to be our 5th starter." I'm happy with Hellickson right now, and I'll say if I'm Davey Martinez, I know a lot of people hate this. I'll put Trevor Rosenthal in for the first inning of a Hellickson game. The only starter that I would do that
stop
for.
it. Hellickson scored from first on a double this week. He's an athlete.
I like Hellickson.
MLB had to change his rating in their video game. He was at like a 17.
He needs some speed.
And then everyone showed that, and they were like, asked what he was. He was so depressed that's where he was. He was flying around the bases.
I love him. And
you can use him to pinch run. Old school,
Absolutely.
Davey hasn't done a lot of that. But
Do we have some old school snap jackets? Like with the elastic around the big wide elastic
shiny,
band.
nice
Oh,
and
it's got to
shiny.
be shiny with the big old W.
Hey, you know how fashion works. When that comes back, I am loaded for bear. No, but we don't have any Nats ones, though, fellas.
We got to get a Nats one. Yeah. Hellickson and Corbin will finish up the home set against the Giants. We go on the road to play Miami Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon. You will get a Strasburg start. I love Strasburg on Sunday. For some reason, to me, when I think of Scherzer, I like that Friday night, Saturday night feel. It's party time. But I don't know why. I do associate a Sunday afternoon game with watching Steven Strasburg.
I think you call him Strasburg at night and Strasburg.
I do. I change it up.
I think he gets a different emphasis on his syllables.
Emphasis.
Yeah.
Well, I just love when we throw Scherzer and Strauss at a team in a 3-game series. So, and Miami's getting it. Miami's going to get it. I don't know if not many people, the Padres will get it in 2 weeks.
Hey, Corbin's been getting it. Also.
I love that. Talk about a hard luck, result for him the other night. But God, he looked good.
No W's, but 11 Ks and 1 walk, 7 innings, and that
fiery
slider is all everyone said it was going to be.
I love it. You could win a playoff series with those 3. Think about those 3. If God help us, we can make it to the playoffs, and you throw Strauss, Scherzer, and Corbin at a team, forget it.
You could start them at any. They could be the number 1 starter, whichever.
Without a doubt.
In the playoffs.
Without a doubt.
I'll take any of them.
Yeah, no matter what happens, say we advance to the next series, we feel really confident with any one of those teams. Yeah, I agree. And watching his lefty swing when he's at bat, he's a freak athlete. He was a stud basketball player. The guy's got it, man.
He's fiery.
He's got it.
I love his demeanor.
We got him for so long, too. Just a gem of a pickup.
The front office has done well. They've drafted well. They've brought in good young players.
Be Rizzo.
And we've gotten good starters. It's just the bullpen that they got to lock down. And Rizzo's got to solve that to be considered, next level. Because he has done so many other things well.
And Davey could really earn the confidence and trust of a lot of wavering fans if he could sprinkle some magic onto this bullpen. Because we all know that's probably the number one thing in this town that we're asking from our manager.
Yep.
And right now, it's shaky. And I'm telling you, if Davey shows he can hit a few of the right buttons, along with Rizzo coming in here and mixing it up, that's what we're talking about. Come on, Davey. Because a lot of people are starting to fade a little bit. And I'm not one of them. I'm sticking with him, but I can understand. I can understand why people are saying, all right, seems to be a lot of the same stuff. And I don't think that's necessarily true, but there has been a few games that we've been sloppy as crap and base running errors. But you know what? We got rookies, and hey, this bullpen has to learn how to come together. It's also another new scrambled, jumbled mess starting off 2019. So I wish him the best there, and I wish us the best with Rizzo versus the Learners for old Craig Kimbrel.
Any last parting shots?
Well, I want Justin Miller to get better. Joe, sorry.
I want Justin Miller to get better.
I want Trea Turner to get healthy. Get him back. I mean, we don't even have him right now. Best base stealer in all of baseball. Let's get these starters some wins. I mean, I think
no doubt.
Trea Turner back, starters some wins. That's a great wish list. I'd start there all day. And that's not unrealistic. I
think top 3 guys are combined like 2-2. Strasburg, Corbin, and Scherzer.
Yep.
Maybe 2 wins.
Yeah, Strasburg has 1. Max has 1. Corbin has 0.
Yeah.
What
wish list?
How long?
I want what Kimbrel wants. I
want what Kimbrel wants.
I want length. I want length for my wish list. Thank you for asking me though. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. It's important.
I know. I just wanted to make sure.
We need to write this down so we can remember for Christmas. When's Trea Turner back?
3 or 4 weeks.
3 or 4 weeks. Is it still 3 or 4 weeks?
I know he was doing some like fielding and
sprint
a little bit of stuff, but he's still got a splint on his hand.
You saw that one in the Caps box?
No, I heard it on the radio.
Yeah, he was in the Caps box looking like honestly a 15-year-old kid sitting with Scherzer watching the game with their ladies, and they showed he had the splint on his finger.
Yeah.
It's a skinny little, it's a nothing-looking thing. It's just you can't mess with the finger. But he looked like a 15-year-old high school kid. Like he's not a menacing presence.
No, his picture from like 2 years ago, he looks even younger.
Yeah.
I was looking at it the other day. I had like a baseball card, and I was like, "Oh my god, is that like an 8th grader on our team?"
I feel like he's coming out of the cornfields in Iowa with a White Sox jersey on from 1950. I mean, he just has that look about him, that old school youth. Just baller though, man. Yeah, God, he makes it fun.
Next time you hear the Nat Shift, we will be on the road in Colorado. Not the late series that I like to see. 2 8:40 time starts, 1 3:10 time start. I hate that. I love those 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock starts. It's just me and the Nats down here, except when Joe and Kevin are here, which is most other nights. We don't get our first 10-10 game till early May. Dodgers set out west. So you got that to look forward to out there. Until next week, he's Kevin Ricka.
Hey, appreciate everything. Sorry about my weird wish list, but I am who I am.
You knew that when you came. You knew that coming into the show, everyone, tonight. Yeah. Joe Murphy.
All right, nice. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for sitting in on the Nat Shift this evening, sir. We got you for another three shows. Yes, you did.
I'm in for the long haul.
Well, for the long haul. Yeah, you are for the long haul.
I don't know why we're saying long so much, but
that's the theme. We stick with themes down here.
You gotta believe.
We don't just give up on themes. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Marangolo, and this was the Nat Shift. Got it right. Still live. Be careful. Still got an audience out there. Grandmothers and aunts and uncles and cousins.